Hello, and welcome back. My name is Timothy Hatterall. And last you saw me, I showed you what life was like during the Industrial Revolution. Now, I'm going to show you how everything was during the Great Depression. And find the answer to this question. Did anything good come out of the Great Depression? I mean, probably not. I mean, it had the depression in the name, so, like, maybe. But anyway, let's go. Mr. Hatterall is a 39-year-old man who lives in New York, New York, when the Great Depression struck. When the Great Depression struck, he had to get money from Mr. Moneybanks to afford his apartment and ended up in debt. He was rather fortunate, while as other people had to get evicted because they couldn't pay their money. But elsewhere, Mr. Moneybanks had his own problems.
This is outrageous. I invested three-fourths of all my money in stocks. And I lose it all when the stock market crashes. Outrageous. And to make matters worse, the banks that I knew they owned, which I love so much, had to be closed because I could not afford to pay for them. I'm so sad. What am I going to do?
Mr. Moneybanks was rather fortunate as he only needed and had $11 million left from what he used to have, a good old $46 million. And he lost it all when the stock market crashed. He also got many banks later in time after he became a multi-billionaire dollar tycoon, after he made all that money from the Moneybanks textile factory, as I pretty well remember. But meanwhile, in the Moneybanks factory, sir, I've done more and done better than any other person in this place. All I'm asking for is a few days off to spend at home with the family.
And that, Mr. Fredrickson, is why you cannot have a day off. Without you, nearly half of this place wouldn't manage. I have to have you stay here. And if you think about leaving, I will fire you. You wouldn't want to end up like those hobos on the street now, would you? Well, no, sir. Of course not. But good. But could I at least have a pay raise? Absolutely not. Do you think I'm made of money? If I give you a pay raise, everyone else will have lower wages, and I won't be able to pay them all their money, and it will put me out of business. You don't want me to go out of business, do you? Well, no, sir. Good. Now get out of my office.
Over time, Mr. Moneybanks wanted to keep more money to himself in the most way possible. But just then, John Smith entered the room.
John Cena.
Good morning, Mr. Moneybanks. I came in here today wondering if I could get a pay raise, since I am one of the best workers in this place. Mr. Smith rarely ever worked, so he was a mediocre worker at best.
Well, of course, Mr. Smith. I see how hard you've been working lately. The others have to just work harder to get more money and a better pay. Frederickson was black. Smith was white. Over time, Mr. Moneybanks became racist towards black and Latino people. And he deems them the source of all his problems. He says because of them, he's lost more workers than ever before. Because racist white people act racist toward black and Latino people competing for the same jobs at the Moneybanks textile factory, and eventually just make neither of them want to work for him. Racist white people quit when Mr. Moneybanks hires black and Latino people. He also gives white people a higher pay than black and Latino people because they work harder. But beyond that, later, I was walking around town to where I stumbled upon a couple of hobos. I see, hobos are people who get fired from their jobs or just lose their job entirely and have to walk around town searching for jobs. They leave their homes and walk around the country without the support of family or no home. Sometimes they become extremely unsuccessful and eventually just give up. They just start wandering the country as a moneyless, well, at that point penniless, person. And as I was walking later, one of them spoke to me. "Oh, I used to be like you. Walking around the country, searching for jobs. I have a job, so, yeah. But then no one would take me. So eventually, I just gave up. I was once a wealthy man, but that was until the stock market crashed." Oh yeah. Stock market crash, yeah. That was crazy. So crazy. How can I forget? The stock market crash of 1929 was when people, a lot of people, took their money and invested it in stocks, hoping that it would, get bigger. But one day, that money value it decreased rapidly, causing people and companies to lose money, causing people to be in debt, causing the economy to go downhill. And when this happened, people were evicted from their homes. They lost their jobs, and a lot of bad things have happened since then. I actually knew a few people who were evicted by Mr. Moneybanks, and in time. But beyond that point, right now, Mr. Moneybanks was planning something devious.
Yeah.
This is outrageous. All I do is keep losing money because of the stock market. I must find a way to reverse this. I need to find a way to make more money. I've got it. I I will raise the debts of those who are in debt to me and pay my workers less so that I can be richer than I am right now and maybe get a bank or two back and come out on top of this Great Depression.
This is the absolute desperation of Mr. Moneybags. Many people affected wanted something done about it. Mr. Moneybags decided he would not change the fines that he had placed and would not pay his workers more. With all that, it's no surprise that Mr. Moneybanks was murdered 5 nights later. Who did it? Nobody actually knows. But most people were glad. Everything that Mr. Moneybanks owned went to his eldest son, Mr. Moneybanks Jr. And he was much nicer to everyone during such a hard time. But beyond that, back to that question I asked earlier. Well, technically, I stated, but did anything good come out of the Great Depression? Well, mostly no, but there were a few upsides. Since, this president guy named Herbert Hoover wasn't getting involved in the country as the president of the United States, I don't know. The next election, this guy named Franklin Delano Roosevelt won the election by a landslide, and I'm pretty sure he was a good guy. I mean, he got us through the Great Depression and all, with the New Deal, creating the WPA, which gave unemployed people the ability to get jobs, and Social Security, pretty good, and the ability to drink alcohol again. So, I mean, can it really get any better than that? This is Timothy Adderall telling you the good and the mostly bad of the Great Depression. And I became a great jazz musician because I paid off my debt to Mr. Moneybags. Oh yeah, and it's the end.